lying to us. We know they're lying to us. They know that we know that they're lying to us, but they continue to lie to us. And I think about that as, my God, that's what life is like under communism. Can you believe that? Can you believe such a terrible thing? That they have political leaders who are lying to them, right? And the people know that they're lying to them. And that they know that the people know that they're lying to them, and yet they continue to lie to them and support them. And I just think, wow, life is so terrible under communism. Nothing like what we would know about in the West. Nothing like we would know about with administrations. The problem is that we allow it to happen. And when you allow people to live by lies, then you have agreed to live by their lie. I guess what's the alternative? Live not by lies, absorb the consequences, do what you can, but yeah, there's this classic trope about the bad guy who lies and manipulates. The thing about the Disney villains, it's very rarely ever a really strong character. Like you look at Scar, he's a lion, but he's a weak lion. He's discolored, he's kind of emaciated, he's weak. Now, when you think about the Disney villains, they're usually very weak, like physically weak characters, and so they use manipulation, they use language. But it works. It works. I was thinking about this, focusing mostly on the idea about the distinction between telling the truth and telling lies. Like, why do we do one versus the other? And I think you're going to find that, I was mentioning before about little kids that the younger you are when you learn how to lie, it correlates to your level of intelligence. Because the younger you are when you lie, you're able to notice that there's a difference between the things that you know and what other people know. And the younger you are when you notice that, the faster you are. Most kids don't really start to realize that until they're like 5 or 6. Most kids kind of realize if you play jokingly with them, they'll be able to lie like the joking way from very early on. But when they start doing it themselves, an example would be if you have a little kid and they've got chocolate chip, they have chocolate on their face, and you ask them, "Did you eat the chocolate chip cookie?" And the little boy will lie and say, "No." Now, if you fall for it and you pretend you fell for it, the kid has learned something, which is, wait, there's a difference between the things I know and what you know. Most kids, as simple as that seems to us, little kids don't realize that yet. They don't have the capacity to. So they think that whatever they know, you also know. And whatever you know, they also know. They don't realize that there's a difference in your psychologies and a difference in your knowledge banks. As soon as they realize that, then you start to realize the ability to lie to people. And once you realize the ability to lie to people, now you realize the ability to manipulate people. And lying is different from manipulating. Manipulating is particularly you're using lies to get people to behave in the way that you want them to behave. So it isn't just like if your parents were to ask you, "Did you go to the mall yesterday?" and you say, "No," even though you did, you've lied to them. But a manipulation would be more like you're using the lie to get them to behave, like Scar would be a manipulator, and most Disney villains would be manipulators. That's the distinction there. But just straight out about telling the truth versus being dishonest, why is it that people lie? Well, largely it's because you're not strong enough to handle the consequences of it. That's what it comes down to. And you might think well, I just don't want to handle the consequences. Well, that's true, but that's part of it. Like if somebody asks you, I don't know, does this dress make me look fat? It's not the dress. And then you get your hands up because you know that the punches are coming in. You could just say, "Oh, I don't, you know what? No, I just don't want to hurt their feelings." That's what it is. I'm going to lie to them because it's for their own good. And now we start to rationalize why you lie. I'm lying because I don't want to hurt them. I'm lying because I don't want them to have a bad day. And if you think about it, that actually makes me a good person for lying. But it really doesn't. We're lying because we're not strong enough to handle the consequences of telling the truth. And this is why, especially today, it concerns me that people are so afraid to say true things that they know are true things because they're afraid of being canceled, or they're afraid of a mob coming after them, or they're afraid of saying things that, even if it's not true, at least it's the best that they can convey the truth. And then we start trying to shut people down, stop people from talking, Because if you're going to tell the truth, you've got to be strong enough to stand up to the consequences of what comes with that. Does this dress make me look fat? No. You have to, doesn't mean you have to be rude about it, but, and, I don't know. Oh, I can ask you guys, how many genders are there? All of a sudden people are like, oh shit, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? I'm asking you. Because oftentimes we're afraid of saying whatever it is that we really think. Some of you will say 2. Some of you will say, the state of New York recognizes 38, which they do. So where is it in there? Where's the truth in there? And I guess more than the truth, what is it that you're willing to express? And what you're willing to express is going to be in direct correlation to what it is that you're willing to absorb. It's the consequences that you're willing to endure. And you'll find it a lot of times people will be like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to cause problems, I don't know. So who is physically stronger, men or women? I hear people who will say, well, you really can't know. Oh, really? Really? And you're talking about an average, and why? Because we're afraid of saying something that's quite obviously true across the board. Men are physically stronger than women. But there's that one woman. Yeah, but those are the outliers, man. It's just like there's that one guy. It's like, who runs faster? Well, I know some girls who run faster than guys. Yeah, I know there's a guy on campus with a wheelchair. He probably doesn't run faster than most girls. And then I'll say that, people are like, oh, I can't believe you said that. Because you're focusing on the part that will allow you to be offended. Because you don't want to deal with the actual truth of it. Now, the problem here is not who's faster, who's stronger. The problem that we then fall into is if we assess some level of worth based off of that. Are men stronger? Yes. Does that mean men are better? No. Women are more nurturing generally. Does that mean that women are better? No. Who's better, men or women? Yes. Who's better? Yes. Who's better? The one who expresses the best characteristics of those two. That's who it is. There is no better or worse. And it's only in this kind of modern or postmodern idea that we assume everything has to be on this hierarchy of better and worse, rich and poor, black and white, weak and strong. Which is not, that's us intentionally imposing these kinds of thesis, antithesis, fights between each other, which don't have to exist. Are there things that women are naturally better at? Yeah, of course. Are there things that men are naturally better at? Yes, of course. Does that mean that they're better or worse? Depends on the scenario. And nothing is everything, of course. But as soon as we start talking like that, we think, oh, that's such an old view. Yeah, science is very old. But even modern science doesn't detract from what it is that I'm saying. Again, it doesn't have to be a better or a worse. It's like, I don't know, are you guys stupid? Are young people stupid? No, you're not stupid. You're not stupid, dude. You're not as experienced. That's all. The problem is when we say that young people are stupid is because we're comparing you at 18 to other people who are like 40 or 50. And if you don't think that 40 and 50-year-olds make stupid decisions, you don't know enough of them. Because we all make really dumb decisions. And it's even worse when you're older because you have that experience. You should know better. Wisdom comes with experience. This is true, but intelligence, that's something different, man. But as soon as we start imposing those kinds of negative values on people, that's when we run into problems because they're not negative. There are some things that are just differences between them. And so you can tell the truth, and you can tell an obvious truth, but you better be willing to absorb the consequences of that. Because as you know, life is suffering. But you can choose if you're going to suffer for telling lies or if you're going to suffer for telling the truth. And in my first period class, I talked about this article that I didn't give you guys. I've been meaning to teach it for like 3 years and I still haven't taught it. It's still sitting in my folder of stuff to teach. It's an essay by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. We read one of his quotes a few weeks ago. And the essay is titled, "Live Not by Lies." And it's exactly what he talks about. He's talking about living in the Soviet Union. And under communism, there was this, it's an adage it's a phrase that I repeat a lot. It goes like this, referring to the government. They're lying to us. We know they're lying to us. They know that we know that they're lying to us, but they continue to lie to us. And I think about that as, my God, that's what life is like under communism. Can you believe that? Can you believe such a terrible thing? That they have political leaders who are lying to them, right? And the people know that they're lying to them. And that they know that the people know that they're lying to them, and yet they continue to lie to them and support them. And I just think, wow, like, yeah, life is so terrible under communism. Nothing like what we would know about in the West. Nothing like we would know about with administrations. But you'll find that in life a lot of times, man. The problem is that we allow it to happen. And when you allow people to live by lies, then you have agreed to live by their lie. I guess what's the alternative? Live not by lies, absorb the consequences, do what you can, but weakness is characterized by deception. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? I got all bangers, man. Second period is probably the best one.